Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, Honda Classic, DraftKings Picks, Preview, Final Betting Card, plus a one-and-done discussion, the weather, and we're going to try to build some lineups here. Play in the best tournament on DraftKings, by the way. Down in the description, Pat Mayo Experience, the Listeners League. Around 400 spots remain of the 3,000. $5K to first place, no rake, $15 to play. It's the best tournament on DraftKings, so you might as well play in that. Additionally, you'll want to get some FantasyNational.com in your life. You want to build some lineups, do your research, FantasyNational.com/Mayo to get yourself that 20% off. Tambo is in studio with me, per usual. When John Rahm wins, we all lose money. It's unfortunate.
Not so much.
In the betting market.
In the betting market, yes, we get crushed. Our one and done, though. Back on fire again. We were right there. Max Homa. Heartbreak Homa down the stretch, unfortunately.
If Max Homa wins, I win my bet on Max Homa, and we were sitting 9th in the race for the Mayo Cup. Unfortunately, he does not win, so I don't win anything betting, and we're now in 54th with our team.
We can get back there this week.
Not bad picks, though. Back-to-back-to-back weeks. It's third for Denny, a first for Scheffler, and a second for Homa. Yeah. That's the way you want to roll through these these elevated events when they're paying out so much money.
Yeah, the best was the tweet. The guy's like, this sucks now that there's elevated events and designated events. It changes the strategy completely. Exactly. That's the whole point. So I guess that's kind of the funny part is people are like hating on that now because they fell off the map. But first of all, it's so early in the season.
There's like 7 elevated events.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the whole point, right? The gripe is people are saying that, oh, it sucks because now someone can just get lucky at those 2 events and they're at the top of the board. It's like, well, it's part of the strategy. You do got to get lucky in spots, obviously. But I love it. I think it's great. And to the point of just watching it, what I said at the start of the season, as expected, and everyone did, but the designated events are incredible. It just makes it that much better. The best courses, the best players. I just love it.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was a good run for the PGA Tour the last 2 weeks or so. So I have 3 teams out of my 4 inside the top 750 in the one and done. And then I have one that's almost in last place. So I'm just wasting all my bad picks on that one team. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as the other ones can come through.
If you're not first, you're last, definitely. But ours is going pretty well. The 1 week I wasn't here, it was the only week that I think it was a rough one.
Yeah, I had Justin Thomas. Burned Justin Thomas. Shouldn't have done that now that I've rethought the strategy.
Where were we saving him for?
Nowhere, but like I burned him in a non-elevated event.
I got you. Okay.
So you probably want to save all your best guys for the elevated events, as it turns out.
I have no clue what you want to do for this week because it is
I have an
rough
idea.
out there.
I have an idea of what I want to do. Let's get to the bets, though. So here are the bets that I have in. I went overboard with betting this week. I've made some XFL bets.
Oh, God. And parlays?
I did make some parlays as well. I was going to hit you up because, I mean, your show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Mm-hmm. Code DOP, by the way, Dogger Pass Podcast, for both Tambo and Paul. If you want to get a match deposit of up to $100 on your first one, you can hit the link down in the description. Highly recommend you do that and then pair it with runthesims.com for all your XFL needs. Prize Picks still hasn't even posted XFL props yet.
Yeah. Being a partner, I didn't want to completely just gutter them, but there was some insane lines up for golf that they got put up on Monday. It was like Sungjae versus S.H. Kim.
I have that one.
0.0. So he just has to beat him in birdies. And I mean, it's not a guarantee. Anything can happen on this course. We're going to talk about it when we get into it. But the point being, I was like, this does not seem right. And they did pull them and bring them back up. And then they pulled them again yesterday because I think it became a little bit more known. But just of note, that was interesting.
Yeah, so, I mean, just check it out on Monday.
Take advantage of it. Yeah, you can, yeah.
I mean, even before your guys' show came out, I think that ended up coming out. What was I going to say? Oh, and obviously I wasn't able to get in even your bet at 14-1.
No.
On
it's
the
gone. The
on
range
the
goes.
It's 5-1 now.
Yeah. It should have never been 33. That is for sure the sharpest of friends. Got on it. I did not get a chance to get in on it, but that's okay. I'll still cheer for them. And
you missed it by like 6 minutes.
I missed it all day. I don't know why my account is for some reason messed up over there, so I was trying to get fixed, and then I texted you, and I don't know. I got to see some interesting bets that you had in the interim, so you got some nice parlays over there.
Oh, it's just super fun. Super fun at that site. What's it? Yeah, where is it? Sungjae versus S.H. Kim. Yeah, round 1 birdies are better. I played that. I played Svensson over Cam Davis birdies are better. Harris English over Grayson Sigg, Matt Kuchar over Davis Riley, a 4-teamer, and then we're good to go.
Ooh, got to be careful. Davis Riley got that new caddy. Ryan Palmer's old caddy on the bag now.
Sure.
He's going to get better all of a sudden, Pat.
I hope so.
I
would like to see Davis Riley do a little bit better, at least in my mind. So the final bets, here's what I got for the week. I got my guy. I said it on the Monday show that I was waiting for the Minwoo number to normalize a little bit, and it was well on the way to breaching 30, and then Noren withdrew, so then it completely stabilized. So I got Minwoo at 28-1 this week. Billy Horschel at 30. I bet I don't like Billy Horschel, but I just feel like that for all the players in the field, I feel like that was the best number that was there. And I think he's dropped like 22 in most places now, like probably where he should be. But I got him at 30. That's what I'm rolling with. Vegas at 55, Aaron Rye at 60, and Svensson at 60. Did you bet Svensson this week?
I did, 55.
55. Now, there's 28s on him at the moment.
Won.
Would you bet Adam Svensson at 28-1?
Going back, I wouldn't bet him at 55.
How come?
I'm not liking him at all. I just think it's everything that I've looked at here.
Trappy.
It just feels like that way. I don't know. It's not always that way, but it just, especially in DFS this week, I think there's a lot of better options.
Well, we'll get to the DK strategy in a second.
Yeah.
But if anyone is owned, I played the two bombs that I have for Honda are Eric Cole at 175 with the top 5 each way, and then Brent Grant at 250-1 with the top 5 each way. This is a fun live betting event because guys can stage rallies even if they have a very poor first day. Remember, me and you in Florida hit Sungjae after the first day.
Yes.
Even though we already had Sungjae bets
doubled.
in.
Yeah, that was a good week.
Doubled down on it. Paid for our trip. It was great.
Yeah, it was a very exciting time. The funniest part, Kenny was the most excited. Kenny Kim, of course, and he did not have that bet somehow. It was like he was the most excited of anyone. You would have thought he won a house. He had $0 on Sungjae.
Yeah, sometimes, listen, it's just like the people who, like when people unit shame other people, like it's all what gets your gears going. If you need to bet $1,000 on someone to get it going, or you need to bet $2.50 or $2.50, and that like it gets your heart rate going, who cares?
Whatever you want to do, betting's betting.
Yeah.
So that's it. Sometimes you have to do it just to keep up with it, to watch it. So that'd be me with XFL, and then I still didn't watch it. Others said it was great. I played all the lineups. I went to run the sims. I bet it. I did everything, but I did not watch it. I just
Paul almost crushed, and Justin almost crushed the props market.
Yeah.
Josh Gordon, one drive, fucked everyone.
Oh man.
Last drive of the game, after they got the onside conversion.
Yeah, I read something about it. Like, was he not out there for the last drive or something?
He wasn't out there for one critical play. I think it was the 4th and 15. He wasn't out there, and then they put him back on the field and only threw to him down the field.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have a Sungjae and Lowry to miss the cut parlay at 25-1 because it's PGA National. Anyone can miss the cut here. Doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
For 25-1, like what do you think? Because I was looking at the odds. Sungjae is 6-1 to miss the cut. He's also 9-1 to win. What do you think is more, like obviously they're saying to miss the cut is more likely than him winning. But I would say that the odds of him missing the cut are substantially more than him just outright winning this event in terms of pure probability.
Yeah, anything could happen. We saw it last year. I don't know what his odds were last year, but he was 20% owned on DraftKings and missed the cut after. How could that happen? He was first. He won it, and then he was 8th the year before, and he was coming in Bermuda and all this stuff. He's so good and missed the cut. So, of course, anything can happen. I've tried these bets. They don't seem to work out too well, but always fun to get these miss the cut parlays in.
I have 2 live bets for the week. It's at Mayakoba this week.
Danny Lee, 100.
Yes, Danny Lee, 100-1. Absolutely. And Kevin Na, 80-1. This is a Kevin Na course.
He looks zoned out, man. You see that picture?
Yeah, whatever.
They put him up in the marketing. He's not feeling it, man. No, I love that shit.
But 80 and 100. Listen, Cam Smith's probably going to win, but I felt like those odds were. I mean, Brooks was 28-1.
You know what I bet? Yeah, that's interesting too. After we just chatted outside and you had your full swing recap, people can go check that out. But Danny Lee, first round leader, 60-1.
It's 66 in some places.
Okay, I got the 60.
All right, you know what? I will play that as well.
I think
Danny
that's
Lee, 66-1.
I like that when people are playing these long shots. I like to play the first one because then if he keeps this up, but I'll just take the money on day one and hope I get it that way. That's what the hope is, at least.
The cheat sheet for this will be available in the newsletter, which I'll send out on sometime later this afternoon. On Wednesday, I'll have all the hot links and everything like that in it. You can sub for free down in the description, or you can just search Mayo Media Substack, and you can find it on there and join the list. A few Euro bets after tailing Tom and Sky. I got Manu Gondes.
What number did you get?
I only got him at 125.
Ooh.
I saw other people get him at 200.
Missed the 250.
I missed the 250, unfortunately. And I didn't even get to play that with placement, so it's just straight up. And I have a Gondes and Eric Cole $10 parlay for $175,000. Sky said if we win, we're going to the magical Kenya Open next week.
We'll see if they even pay you when that happens. But yes, I did see that when you sent me that over. So Eric Cole, we'll talk about him later. Your boy, he's definitely coming on. So
Gondis at 125, and then Kartik Sharma at 400 to 1 with 5 placements.
Okay.
So in each way of 5. So Sky sold me on that he's actually the good Sharma. There's like 4 Sharmas in the field. So this one is Kartik Sharma, who Sky has recommended. So just blindly tailing to absolute long shots on this.
Sky hits those.
Sky gets these guys into contention, if nothing else. So man,
and we get it with the places, so it's always worth it.
First round leader in Europe. This is the stupidest course in the world, by the way. I think it's the one that has windmills on it, like giant pop bunkers in India. I have Mav Antcliffe, SSP Chwarasia, who I've hit as a winner at this course before, 2017.
Did you bet him outright?
To win this week?
Yeah.
No, I bet him his first round.
Oh, I got him outright for 140.
Okay, so I have Antcliffe and SSP and Soren Kelson, all at 90 to 1, and then Kartik Sharma at 175 to 1, all with 5 placements as first round leader. For the one and done, I went with Cooch, Jeff went with Denny, and Cust went with Adrian Maronk.
Ooh.
My guy.
Your guy from
fucking
last
over
week.
Maronk.
By the way, your 6K guys continuing to come through. Cole, Barnes, Maronk was 6,900 last week. I know he went up to 8,300.
And
Tway? Yeah, we both like Tway last week. I just mean the guys that I argue with you on that you think are good, and then they actually come through. You've been crushing with those. So
yeah, we'll see how we do. See how we do this week.
I know who it is this week. We'll get there later. But yeah, you're either going to win all the money this week or absolutely $0 nothing.
True.
With that card that you have right now.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Man, listen, if Eric Cole and Gondis can both win, I feel like I'm in pretty good shape.
For a long time. But I think it's more likely going to come down to like, please, Billy Horschel, make this 4-footer to make the cut. Yeah. And then I'll just need him over the weekend. That's really what it's sounding like it's going to come down to.
I think of all those guys, I've really talked myself into Aaron Rye, just based on his course profile, where he's played well in the past, and the fact that he just hits every fairway is just such an advantage here.
Do you want to know something about Aaron Rye? Scottish Open winner.
I know.
You want to know who else is a Scottish Open winner?
Minwoo Lee.
Ooh, there you go. So pop those two together in a lineup. You get all the chalk and the fun of seeing which one of them crushes you to miss the cut. But I do agree, and I bet Rye with you. At 60, I did not bet Minwoo, but Minwoo has become Max Woo, because he is now like max owned compared to what it was looking like on Monday. I'm getting all the texts and the DMs. You're like, what is this loser priced at this for? Why is he going to be this? He's the worst player in the field. Have you seen his numbers? All this. I'm like, have you seen his numbers? Let's go back and reset this. You get his majors in there. You get his recent results in tournaments that included guys like Rory, Rahm, Xander, JT, those guys. He was like T12 and something like that. And then he's coming second at tournaments other guys are at. So I don't know. He's become very popular this week, and the Noren withdraw did not help for DFS.
That's the whole thing. It looked like he was going to be suppressed for a while. And then his number did fall in the betting market as expected, just a little bit. But you know, in terms of pure upside, like when you're priced around guys like Kuchar and Denny, and I mean, maybe Pendrith and Dietrich are a little bit better. Maybe Aaron Wise. Like if you talk about like overall upside, we've just seen Minwoo do it. He's won 5 times around the world. They're mainly on shorter coastal courses that could be wind affected.
Yeah, I got no problem with it. I like your number. You got it before I think you got it right as Noren withdrew or was going to. You said, like, now I'm hitting this.
I saw Noren withdraw, and I immediately went and bet.
Yeah, you know it's not getting any better at that point.
At that point, it stalls or it gets worse from that point. Weather-wise, you took a look at it. I took a look at it. I'm looking at it right now. There seems to be no advantage. I mean, that can always change. The wind can influence this course a lot, as we've seen in the past, but it just seems pretty steady throughout the course of the day. Like nothing more in the morning than it is in the afternoon. Temperatures seem pretty good. Yeah. Very little rain. Maybe we'll get a Shane Lowry situation where it finally starts to rain and only when he's on the course and it fucks him, but who knows?
That was brutal last year. That was brutal. And then watching Full Swing, not going into that, but just talk about, I forgot how bad Thigala's bounce was on 17.
At Waste Management?
At Waste Management. I was like, he really didn't do that much wrong there. But that just reminded me of like Lowry here, and why Lowry was so pissed was he's like, man, I did everything right. And he was trending, and it was like time to get the W. And then what did the drive go? Like 225 off the tee, I think on the last hole. It did not get out there like he needed it to because the wind just completely ate it up, and he had to play with like the umbrella and just blowing away in the wind. And next thing you know, Sepp Straka just steps up and gets the job done. So
in that Thigala situation, because we always come here and watch Waste Management before the Super Bowl, Cuss is like, I don't think Thigala can lose. Yeah. And then you see what happens to him. Well, our other friend who always bets against Cuss just instantly live bet Scotty Scheffler. So that worked out well for him.
Yeah.
One and dones for the week.
All right, here we go.
I don't think it matters if you win in this tournament. And obviously, listen, get as much money as possible, no matter what tournament it is. But you could take, like, if you miss your picks this week, I don't think it's overly detrimental.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, like you said at the top, and even those people that are complaining that I was making fun of, where you have all these designated events. We got 2 more coming right up, API and players, back to back. Like we're just
and then we also have match play in the Masters.
And then we've got all those coming up, exactly, of course. So you're not out of it by any means. I think, like you said, just look for a floor ceiling combo that you can get, a made cut, someone who could go on to win it. Obviously, you still want to put that in there, but there's no one here that I'm like, ooh, I really have to save this guy. I don't see anybody of that.
Yeah, like you could probably save Sungjae or Lowry for other events if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, so I think Lowry's going to be super popular here because
he should be super popular.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what else? That's my point. Like, what else are you saving him for? So that would be where that comes in. I prefer not to use him because, again, it's not that I need to save him. I don't think I want to use him as the most popular guy, of course, with the most carnage, with all these things that can happen. I'd rather take a shot on like Billy Horschel or Kuchar or Denny McCarthy or someone like that. Like,
so we don't have Denny. We used him at Pebble, and he came 3rd for us, so that's good.
Yes,
I was thinking Kirk or Kuchar.
Yeah, I like either of those.
Aaron Rye?
I don't want to play the Rye card either. I don't think so.
Vegas? I like Vegas a lot this week.
Wow.
I mean, so does the world, so he'll probably be pretty popular. The only other one I was really considering, and a lot of it harkens back to, I don't even see him here now. Where the hell did he go?
Brandon Harkins?
No, not Brandon. Is Brandon Harkins in the field?
No, I don't think so. I just, when you said that.
Is someone that we liked earlier in the year and then played really shitty at the 2 elevated events, probably because he's not that good. But no one's using him on DraftKings either. JT Poston's been playing pretty well this year. He didn't play well at Riv or Phoenix. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that tell us?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I like. I like Kirk, Kuchar, Horschel, and I'd be okay with Poston. So any of those 4 are who I feel like are sort of that mid-tier of what I'm saying. They're not like overly popular. They definitely could come through. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them won, even though it sounds crazy to say about a guy like Poston when he hasn't done anything lately. He can win. He's the one on the tour. He won the Wyndham bogey-free. Like, he could just show up for a week and do it. He can make his putts. I don't know. Maybe I'm leaning the Poston way. Just go different.
Let's do it. Poston.
Right, Postman, let's do it.
Go try to take a 5%er here, although everyone we pick ends up being like 10% now.
That's fine. Doesn't matter. We can't. What the year? It was like this time last year. It was hilarious. Kenny was like in the same spot we're in, like top 50. He's like, don't think I can give out my one and done picks on the pod anymore. Like, buddy, there's so many weeks left to go. You just give your picks out and figure it out at the end. It's just hilarious. But yeah, we can give it ours, and let's go post it.
Yeah, you know what? If we're somehow inside the top 10 with 2 weeks remaining, maybe we'll abstain from. We'll talk about it privately and not give it out.
Yeah.
Sure. If we're in the running for 50K.
Yeah, sure.
That's fair?
If I'm in the running for 50K, I'm setting up the giveaway for the people. Like, I don't care. Just win whatever happens. We want to win first, of course, but it's always a lot of fun. The people love this stuff.
DraftKings picks for the week. We'll build some rosters, try to figure out some strategy. So what I've gleaned from looking back at all of the years that we played DraftKings at the Honda, chalk hits from time to time, but it is the most untrustworthy chalk in the world. Mm-hmm. That you are better off just making your picks of who you think are the safest guys and then just pivoting one player up or down and play your lineups that way.
Pretty much. Yeah, I saw some stuff in the Discord of people posting their note. Like, just a reminder for everyone else.
Same as the players, by the way.
This is my reminder. It said, like, do not play this tournament. No, stop clicking into the app. Do not play this tournament, and just repeating themselves, because this is one where they've had carnage before and just got absolutely crushed. But it's always a fun one.
How can we embrace that, though? Because there does seem to be a relative advantage if we know that there's likely to be carnage. Mm-hmm. Now what do we do with that information?
I think you just take the stands, bigger stands. Like,
no Sungjae, no Lowry.
Yeah, if you want to do that, for sure.
I'm good with that.
The only thing I'm saying about Sungjae is, even though I know it's crazy because he's going to be pushing maybe 40% in some of these tournaments, is that it's like a double-edged sword, because what most people are saying, and then they're still clicking the button, is that he just missed it last year. He could obviously miss it again. How could you play him at 40%? But he is by far and away the best play in this field.
I mean, Lowry's not that far behind.
I think he is.
I don't think there's that much discernible gap between Sungjae and Lowry outside of being on the greens. Like, when you go look at their numbers.
Yeah. And it could
Lowry can't putt. That's his problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think as far as the consistency goes over the long, like what we've seen, yes, Lowry bounced back at the perfect time, almost how Ricky and Hideki bounced back just before the waste management. It didn't pay off huge or anything at that tournament. And now you're going to a 10-4 price tag. Whoever said this said it best. I know different field strengths by a mile, but 2% owned Lowry at 7,400 is now 25% owned Lowry at 10.4K. The field dictates it for sure, but you are paying a premium for him. The other thing about Sungjae, again, pick your poison up here, but the other thing I'll say on Sungjae is people always assume because he's 10-7, the highest price, etc., he has to win.
No,
if
not
three or
in this
four of
field.
these guys up here miss the cut, it's what does he do around them? People still fill out their rosters. You could see a T18 Sungjae end up on the winning roster with the 8K winner because the way it shook out up top and Lowry and Horschel missed or something along those lines. So it's just a note that you don't have to completely go off him for those reasons.
So here's my issue with fading both Sungjae and Lowry, because I'm very comfortable doing that in a field like this. I always see shorter courses, weaker fields. I've had more success fading the very top end 10K guys and just kind of building a little bit more balance or just making like random picks, like at whatever tournament. Like Sony's been like that. RSM's not so much like that. We've seen a lot of chalk hit there. Heritage has most definitely been like that over the years, like similar style courses, that kind of thing. But if I don't use Sungjae and Lowry, I don't need to go into the 6,000s anyway.
Well,
So, I have the money to use both those guys in lineups if I want to.
You could definitely leave salary. You could definitely do the double stud build. Feels like it's less popular because people are looking for a reason to get off these guys. But then the other thing is what you just said is kind of a bit interesting. People are looking for these 6K diamonds in the rough, and for what? Like, do you have to do it?
No.
I guess the way to do it is if you really like these 6K guys is just round it out with 9K guys and then leave the money on the table. Like, what's the difference? If you, like, for example, you said it already, but like Kuchar, if you've got him better than Im, just leave the $1,400 on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have him better than
No, not saying you do, but like whoever's watching, if they decide I'm not playing him because he's 40%, I'm good with your guys' Kuchar call, or I like what you said about Minwoo or Horschel, just play them and leave the money on the table. You don't need to upgrade your 6K guy if you like your 6K guy. I wonder if that's why people are people finding 6K guys. I'm really having a struggle with this, Pat, to try and figure out, are they trying to find 6K guys to fit Sungjae since he's going to be 40%, let's call it, or are they just doing it because they like these guys and then they're trying to round it out with 4 9K guys? Or what are you really seeing here? Because the 9K range seems to have everyone like around 15 to 20% ownership.
Well, I built likely the chalkiest lineup possible right now.
Okay, 1 second. Let me pull it up here. Go ahead.
You ready for this?
Yep. Slow and steady.
Sungjae Im,
Yep.
Johnny Vegas,
Okay.
Ben Griffin, Joseph Bramlett, Lee Hodges, Hayden Buckley.
Yeah, that's definitely very chalky. All right, that'll be our starting point.
So what do you make of that lineup? I bet you it projects well.
3 miscuts? I don't know.
Yeah, 4 miscuts maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Hey, I came last in the $200 single entry last week with a 2 of 6 lineup, so... And I played in this free contest, like this season-long thing that I do with a few people that I know.
Yeah.
And just had, like, the smoke. My best lineup was in the free contest. I won $10 for, the weekly prize.
There's nothing worse than that. I mean, I don't know. That's a different thing. Right? What was that in? That was not on DraftKings.
It was, it's on DraftKings. Like I played that lineup in the $5 and
Okay.
like cashed all right in it, but against like a 31-person field, I just smoked everyone.
No, that's fair. I was gonna say if there's anything I could teach somebody, like my buddy just came over to my house a couple weeks ago for Super Bowl, and he's like, "Yeah, I got this lineup. It's in the free one. First is like $100, and then he's playing like a $50 single entry." I'm like, split it up a little bit so that one win. Like, what if that one wins and you don't even win the $100 because there's 27,000 people in it, and the $50 single entry is the bad team? And he's like, "Oh, I guess that makes sense." It's just so many people do that I always try and have my stuff protected to be at least be somewhere that I can win money. Yeah, but back to this, it projects solid. It definitely is very chalky. Like, those are all guys that are going to be popular for their price tags for probably good reason, but how do you split them up? How do you play them different? That's going to be the question.
So the difference so the guys that I had to leave on the table, I'm looking at Fantasy Nationals ownership projections right now. Sungjae, Vegas, Griffin, 1, 2, 3 for the moment, and I wasn't able with this lineup to fit in Lowry, Kirk, Dietrich, Wise, Kuchar, who all project out pretty highly as well.
Right.
And then it dropped into that Bramlett, Hodges, Buckley range of the mid-7s. So when we get to, there's no one really in the low 7s that I can see that is hopping off the page, like Ben Taylor, and he's not even going to push 10%.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I noticed. You talked about how do we get different, how do we embrace this, all these factors. Like 8K and above, like, yeah, you could, like, I don't really love Straka, English, Svensson. Like, I don't really love those guys, but I'm just saying mixing those guys up, it could be anybody. Like if Horschel comes through, it won't surprise me. If it is Minwoo, even with the ownership, it won't surprise me. You do have to spend salary somewhere. What I'm noticing, Pat, is right out of the gate is sort of 7,400 to 7,900 is just loaded with the could be guys. Like who's going to get to 15 to 20% in there? Because I've got right now, you talked about Ben Griffin. You talk about, people are mentioning Jagger again after last week. So you see him, Aaron Rye for sure, Benny On for sure, Buckley, Bramlett, and then maybe S.H. Kim even. But I think S.H. Kim will stay lower. So I guess it's kind of 7,500 to 79.
Did you say Will Gordon?
He's in there too, but I got him 10 to 12.
Yeah.
But could he be the 15? It doesn't matter.
It depends on where
if
you...
they're 15 or 12. I'm saying that range is getting picked up huge in these lineups.
So there are two guys from that range, because I don't think that Rye ends up getting up that high.
You don't?
I don't. Maybe just after maybe a last-second press, but I still think that more people will be on Buckley and Ben Ann. Like, they're just more known quantities. And Buckley is, he almost won the Sony. It seems like everyone in the world, I guess besides you and I, have bets in on Buckley this week. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But
I think Buckley gets pretty popular.
Here's the range. So, Ben Griffin, you mentioned, he could push 20%. Vegas could also push 20%, right? Mm-hmm. Every player between those two guys is going to be single digits, and no one's going to have them. Every single one. Straka, English, Moronk, Bez, Cam Davis, Higo. Now, I get why people don't want to use all of them, although, like, right now I have Moronk and Straka in lineups.
Yeah, Moronk I've got. Straka.
And Higo, actually.
Straka, very little. It's just so hard to go. I mean, he's 8,500 back-to-back. I don't know. Like, things broke his way last year. He played okay last week.
Yeah, but again, you don't need him to win. You just need him to be better than Johnny Vegas and Ben Griffin. And,
he's right there.
And Poston's the other one who has very low ownership.
Poston's the guy. I like the two at the top. I like Poston, Pendrith. Also, Thomas Dietrich, just of note, he is still getting some ownership, but just to note, like 14 straight made cuts is third on the tour right now.
Is that true?
Rahm and Xander. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Straight. And they're all like 30th. So that's what I was talking about, where it's like he's one stroke from being like it looks horrible on paper, one or two strokes from 50th. He's one or two strokes from like these are all top 20s, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's mispriced at 9K. So I don't know. He's not my favorite play in there. I'm just noting that because he kind of fits in that upper 8K range versus the mid tier of Vegas, Svensson, Straka, English, where I think those guys are all getting mid-teens.
So I am going to follow through on the no Sungjae, no Lowry. And I feel like if I do that, it's not that I can take anyone that I want to be unique, but I'm really boxing out a lot of the field. Like if I want to use Vegas and I believe in Vegas at 21%, then I can do that. Mm-hmm. If I don't have Sungjae to go along with him. Because even if Vegas does well and Sungjae doesn't, then I'm way ahead of the pack. Although that's probably not the bet you want to make. Vegas to do well, Sungjae not to do well. It's usually the opposite of that happens.
Yeah. I also wonder what was the tournament like a couple weeks ago we had where everyone's like, oh, Rahm's going to be 40%, and then he came in at 25. Damn, I forget which one this was.
I think it was Phoenix.
Yeah, and he was even low owned last week, by the way, 14 or 13% in the mega, like that, stuff like that. But I will say that because it's not that everyone's talking themselves out of him. It's just like, again, if they don't need to go down to the 6Ks and they see that, you can easily get 3 of these 7K guys in that we just talked about that are chalk. And then you got all these guys from Lowry down to who will people be comfortable with? English, let's say, even Moronk, maybe. People
are not going to be comfortable with Moronk.
I think they're fine with him. 6,900 last week. I bet you he gets 12 to 15%. Is where I see him landing. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like no one knows who he is.
Doesn't matter. Back to that. This is also another what I always talk about. This is another lazy week. We're stuck between two designateds on either side. People they're just looking for action. There's no NBA till tomorrow, the NBA All-Star break. They're just listening to these shows and they're rolling out whatever people say. You liked Moronk last week. He did okay. He's a fair price. He's 8,300. He doesn't need a win. I'm sure he'll still get, I'll say 10 to 15 and put a wider range on it, but he's getting double digits.
There's a chance that he's like the 5th best player in this field.
Right. So maybe you like him more if he comes in at 12. And
I do like him more. Like I'm definitely using Moronk.
Yeah.
I do worry that he's undercursed, but he can come second. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a bet on him.
No, you can do a lot less than that too at 8,300. He can.
There's
20.
There's a few guys in the 7s that, I mean, it's hard to like anyone really to say like, oh, this is the guy. I like Aaron Rye. Aaron Rye is most definitely a core guy that I'm going to be using this week. But to look at everyone else, between your Buckleys, your Ons, Bramletts, Will Gordons, S.H. Kim, all guys that are tracking to be very popular. There's one guy sandwiched in the middle of that who I think has made 8 cuts in a row. Justin Suh?
Yeah.
And he's going to be like 2% owned.
Yeah, I like
and he's
him.
no different than any of these guys.
Great pivot there, because that's what I'm saying. He's okay. He's sandwiched between Yager, Hodges, Rye, and then on the other side, Benny Ann and Buckley. There's just no way he gets it. He's definitely the one that gets squeezed. So I think that's a good tournament play, single entry play. I also
eight cuts in a row, no finish better than 20th. So that's not great.
Who cares? Here, I'll take the made cut.
So here you're good with it. Doesn't.
It's so hard to get 6-6 here anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, what's the real difference between him and those guys we just talked about? He's got. If it was like 2 months ago, everyone loves this guy.
So the thing, because he's been losing a bunch of strokes off the tee. Again, he did that at Genesis and Farmers. What do those two courses have in common? Thin fairways, long courses. You go back and look at all of the previous 6 tournaments where he made the cut, he's like gaining 10 strokes on the field in terms of accuracy. So I'm not too concerned about him being like wild off the tee. Can it happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit different when you go to these bomber courses and your stats are being weighted against John Rahm and Max Homa and Rory McIlroy rather than playing the Sony Open where he gained a bunch off the tee when you're going up against like Matt Kuchar.
Yeah, people use Sony Open quite a bit too.
I mean, there's been a lot of crossover here.
Yeah,
We've seen a lot of similar winners at both of these events.
That's true. And so I don't hate that aspect of it. Another guy, like, this is one of my dudes I always play him, but Nick Hardy is also sandwiched quite a bit.
He fucked me so badly last week.
Hopefully he fucked everybody and they don't play him. So,
I have him listed. Like, the stats love Nick Hardy.
he's good. That's why. Like, and again, he had an injury, came back from it, had a nice run, and now it's slowed down a little bit, of course. But if you just look at him at 7,500, again, Hardy, Buckley, and Will Gordon, all these guys around him, I'm going to take a shot on him. So these aren't like my favorite plays, but just to bring up this range, because like I said, if you are going in here, I think it's worth pivoting in this range where everyone's going, or just getting off this range from a roster construction standpoint altogether. We see that week in, week out. Last week, if you played, what was it, like Lee Hodges and Tway, and just skipped that range of everyone was on Noren and Fleetwood worked, but I'm saying Fleetwood and Mitchell and Harmon, or not Mitchell, he was good. Harmon, all those guys that people were on in that range, you just had to play the 2-6K guys and jump up. You ended up at the top of the leaderboards. That's how people won.
I enjoyed me winning our bet last week when, once again, the answer was play the both.
Yeah, for those who don't remember or didn't watch, we had Cantlay versus Homa. They were basically, both of them could have won down the stretch. And so you got me there. I did get you, and we didn't bet this one, but I did get you on the Cantlay over Hovland ownership.
That is true.
Quite a gap there and a difference, and that's how I feel about some of the guys this week.
I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised about that. Yeah. Now, how big was the gap? Because in the $20, it was very close.
I thought it was more, but yeah, it was definitely, especially in high stakes, Cantlay was up there.
Yeah, high stakes, yeah, but we talked about the 20, didn't we?
We were talking in general, but I was saying for sure he was the guy that was going to be in the higher stakes, smaller fields, would get steamed even more, and that was the case.
And I will always default to you about what's going on in higher stakes because I don't play higher stakes.
Yeah, for sure.
You do. So
it's just helpful for people to know because in some, like last week you got a huge gap where, what was it? I think Scheffler or somebody,
Hovland was more owned than Cantlay by 4% in the $20.
In the $20.
Yeah, he was the third highest owned guy.
Yeah. 89. They were those were 8,900 9K, but the funny part was the Cantlay versus Homa coming 2-3.
Yeah.
Same thing as last time. So, SH Kim, Riley, any of these guys down here, and what about Patty Harrington?
No, I'm not going to take the 53-year-old Patty Harrington.
Coming off a second place, Pat.
Do you lost to Stephen Ames over in Morocco at the King Hussein II tournament?
I think it was, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, or something like that.
EVR is getting some love. I understand the bet at like 90-1. There's no way this guy's touching my DraftKings lineup.
He's touching the water at some point.
I don't know if he's ever gone into the water outside of that 1-3M tournament, but he went into it 45 times.
Yeah.
When everyone was on him. Although he did go into the water at the Players because I remember him smashing the tee box.
Oh, yeah. Broke it up there, yeah. What about Riley I mentioned, though, like Riley or SH Kim?
SH Kim, yes. Riley, no, for me. I would prefer Willett.
I was just going to say, I like Willett here, too.
Like, links guys, Euro guys. Like, this is more of a Euro-style course.
It works out that way. If you go look at the leaderboards, it's like guys that are solid, short course players, things like that. And then it's all the hands and around the green game, experience, all those factors.
Don't put it in the water. Know how to deal with the wind.
Yeah, I bet Willett at 70, so I like him as well.
Okay. Like, what about Bramlett and Will Gordon?
Both.
You like them both?
Yeah.
So I have everyone fucking starred from the mid-7s.
But that's what everyone's doing. That's what I'm saying. So you have to take some, like, I'll have, for example, like the guys that'll be less on, like Lee Hodges after last week.
I'm not playing Lee Hodges.
Right? Like,
here's the move. Use Lee Hodges in Friday Showdown, fade him in Saturday Showdown.
Okay.
Just bet against him on Saturdays. This is my big thing with Leo, because I bet on Lee Hodges a bunch of times last year, and he'd be in the mix, and then Saturday would come and he'd fucking suck.
You have to go back down and find the new Lee Hodges this week. Like, you know what I mean? Like when he goes, I know that the field changes the price as it did with Lowry and all those examples that I gave.
The answer is Eric Cole.
Yeah.
He's the answer.
He's down there. Yeah,
Everyone's on badly. I'll take Eric Cole.
Yeah. I don't hate that. We'll get to 6,900. Anybody at the low sevens? Like I'm hearing
Lonto. Why aren't we playing
WD,
Lonto?
WD.
Oh, he WD'd?
Go.
So that's why people aren't playing Lonto.
That's correct.
That makes sense. He doesn't even have a T time next to his name. That's probably
That's why people are not playing. What about Brandon Wu, 7,300? The other Wu.
By my numbers, it looked like Dylon Wu was better.
What about this bet? Brandon Wu beats Min Wu, and Parker Cootie beats Pearson.
If one of the Cooties, especially Pearson Cootie,
Yeah.
like if he has a good week, I'm fucked.
The best is,
Fuck
did you
that
put
guy.
him on the Quagmire?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
No.
you said that's both of them in one, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, I just see that happen all the time. I think it was actually at Honda a year where Chase got a sponsor's invite,
And
of
beat
course,
Brooks.
because his brother's there and beat Brooks. So it's like the same thing. We'll play back, right?
So
of course.
this is what I'm seeing. And listen, the Dylan Wu from Sony did not play very well. But
No
he was-
Dylon Wu. We were talking Brandon.
Yeah, but I'm
Wu.
talking Dylon.
Oh,
Wu.
you can go ahead.
Dylon Wu, top 30 at Pebble Beach, shorter course. American Express, shorter course. Came 32nd there in the swing season. Made the cut in Bermuda. Made the cut at Sanderson Farms. Made the cut at RSM. He's $6,600. If you're looking to get someone to potentially sneak through to the weekend, and at Pebble, man, he lit up Pebble Beach. He gained like 6 strokes in 2 rounds on approach. So Brandon Wu, yes, is probably the better player. But if we're just saying Brandon Wu over Min Wu, why don't we just play all the Wus? Just play all 3 of them.
Do it. Is there more?
No, there's Brandon, Dylan, and Min Wu.
Where's Siwoo when we need him?
I know. These guys holding out for some. That is,
Nobody's playing this course this week.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about this a little bit because someone had made mention that Jeff and I were complaining about how shitty the field is for this tournament. And then someone else had said, like, well, you really love these elevated events. You're going to have to get some of these. Like, it doesn't matter who the players are. Like, if you're really into the PGA Tour, like, what's the difference between this event and, like, some other ones? Is that there's no mid-card anymore for the PGA Tour. Like, that's what LIV really did to this stuff. Like, because before, like, we have Sung Jae and Lowry. They're great. Even throw Billy Horschel into that as well. There would usually be, like, 3 or 4 more guys here. Like, I'm not talking about Rahm and Rory and those guys, but, like, Hovland or JT or Morikawa, or because we're not even getting the Sam Ryders, the Luke Lists, or the Keith Mitchells at this event anymore. Like, we're just missing 3 or 4 more names, and then you look at it and you're like, okay, not so bad.
There is the cost of doing business. That's part of it. I love the designated events. I said it, like, even the RBC Canadian Open last year was not a designated event, but it gave me the feel. I said at the start of the season what these events would turn out like, because that was so good with all the dudes at the end in the mix, and that's what we're getting now with these designated events. So it is the cost of doing business for sure. I like gambling on golf, so I like every event from that perspective. But that's also for some that don't realize, like, that's why I keep up with it so much. That's why I want to know every little piece. I read all the content, watch all the shows, do all that stuff. I want to stay up on it because I want to win money at everything that I do with it. And there's a lot of opportunity between DraftKings having both Showdown and Classic, between all the betting that we do. Look at your card at the start. We can bet on multiple tours, all that stuff. I'm not lining up my whole weekend to sit down every hour away from my family to watch every minute of this. Like, how is Harry Higgs doing this weekend? I don't give a shit. But that is part of it, right? It is a bad field. It's going to be part of it, though, if you want to have the good field. So I totally understand it. We've got some great events, as you mentioned earlier, coming up.
Maybe because it's Pebble and this course that have really jumped out with the 2 bad fields sandwiched around all these good fields. I think it's just because I like those 2 courses a lot, that I want to see them, like, done right by.
Well, that was the argument, right? We talked a little pre-show on it. People are saying, like, the opinion of some is, and I think the tour did talk about this, that they were thinking about moving some of these designated events
and they should.
around. Others are saying, some with bigger names out there in the Twitter sphere, that that's a horrible idea. They should not do that. We need to get these events known to the people. Like, it has to be a thing. Like, Riv is the spot to be every year for Genesis, and it's already going to be, in my opinion. Same with Waste Management. Same with a lot of these events that we're going to talk about. Players, these are always going to be the biggest events anyway. I would like it more if now, like, a course like this that I like, we've been to, it's a great spot. Anything can happen. Great drama down the stretch. A lot more drama than Full Swing, back to that one. But bringing that up, you could have a great event here with all, if you could, like, I would love this course with all the players on it. that we just had.
They don't want to come and play this course.
Why?
Because it's the hardest course.
Makes them look bad?
It's the hardest course they play on tour.
That's fun.
They don't want. Rahm doesn't want to go out there and potentially shoot an 80 in bad conditions.
Yeah.
That's saved exclusively for bad weather British Opens.
That's true. I guess that could be the case. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we won't see it. I'd like for it to do that. But if it doesn't, we just have to understand that this is the nature of the business. These guys have to play to maintain status, get their cards, win money, change their lives. It's a huge week for them still. There's a lot of money up top and a card for them and all these factors. So we just have to be willing to ignore it in some cases if you don't want it.
Anyone in the sixes outside of Eric Cole that you like? I have Matty Schmidt, tentatively starred. Carl Wan, my guy.
What do you like about him?
Carl Wan?
Yeah, he popped a little for me too.
He just fires at pins. So either he's got it or
Boom
he's going to
bust.
be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I like the boom bust. What about going back to Tway?
I don't like Tway as much here.
Okay. Yeah, I hope others don't. I'll go back.
Okay.
What about Eric Barnes with Eric Cole?
No, just Eric Barnes this week.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, no, but
Okay.
Eric Barnes actually seems to be a pretty decent player.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And then here's another example I'll give. I'm not sure how much I'll have of him, but I love his first name, of course, Tyler Duncan. He has basically stayed the same price. And he didn't do Lee Hodges things last week, but he did his job. And Lee Hodges gets bumped huge, and Duncan basically stays where he is.
And Duncan does the same things every week. He hits every fairway. It just, can he putt or not?
Dunking it in the water maybe to miss the cut.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, yeah. But I don't mind him. Another guy I sometimes play, Norlander, just a grinder. He's a boom bust guy, and he hasn't done much lately, but if he could come through, and then after that, it's very slim, man.
Well, here's the thing. Do you need to play any of these guys?
I don't think so. Should you? Probably.
Like,
I mean, shit's going to go down here, man. Like, any of these guys get through, that's huge, huge value that's going to pay off. It also naturally puts you off some of that $7,400 to $7,900 range chalk where you kind of just got to pick your spot. And you can go with our one dude like Justin Suh and hope that he's the guy that breaks the barrier between all those guys. But, I mean, you'll have to mix those guys up and just know that you're taking some miscuts and build your lineups accordingly to build for that.
Yeah,
like,
if you can get 15% 6 of 6 lineups this week, you're going to be like 3x, 4x the field. Unless everything just comes through as
planned. If the chalk all hits, then yeah, it's a bad week.
Which it never does here.
But it seemingly never does, yes.
Brent Grant?
That's who you want to talk about, yeah.
I don't really want to talk about him. Like, I just think it's based on the numbers that I overweighted this week that he rates out really well. Like, in terms of driving this week, he has plus distance, but he's also one of the more accurate guys as well in terms of, like, averages of the field. I think he's, like, 20th in the field in driving distance, and he's 51st in accuracy. Like, that could be a big advantage on the par fives here. And that's really where you're going to do all of your scoring this week. Keep it out of the water, score on the par fives, you're probably going to be top 20.
The first part you just said, though.
Sure, but I mean, that's where the accuracy comes in. And also, a good right avoid stat, as Joe pointed out to us. Hey, that worked with Rory in Phoenix.
It did work that time. Yeah, that was funny bringing that up. That stuff, so people know, is mostly just narrative. People love a good narrative. People are like, why is this? And
listen, we don't know anything anyway. We might as well just talk about whatever.
It's just a good narrative, exactly. Yeah, it's just for content purposes, mostly.
Past 2 finishes, 25th at the Farmers.
21st.
AT&T, 20th at Pebble Beach. So, and like you see his numbers, like he generally gains off the tee. They're only at, funny enough, the Sony Open is the only event since joining the tour where he's lost strokes off the tee. But to kind of be pick and choosy with his stats from Pebble and Farmers, he made the cut in both, but that's only 2 weighted rounds at AT&T and only 3 at Farmers.
No big water in play to know how he focuses on that. If he didn't have good numbers at the Sony, X him. Cut him right out.
I don't know.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just not as high on him. I get the 2 recent results. You've been good with these picks this year. I'm going to continue to just. I don't know how much I'm going down here anyway, but that's
I
what I'm
much prefer Eric Cole.
The guys that I talked about, are the guys that I'll probably have in my pool, and then the guys going up from there. Like I said, in the 7Ks, you're just going to have to pick and choose your spots. I think the biggest thing this week is going to be, as always, roster construction, ownership, trying to plug it together that way. And this week you have to. I'd be willing to take on way bigger stands. Whether it's if you want to leave salary from a Sungjae to a Minwoo. And say, yes, I'm eating the ownership on Minwoo, but I'm also leaving money to get unique that way. I don't even think you have to do that. I'm just giving different ways to think about it. And then the other spot would be like, just building your lines. We're going to build some in a minute anyway, but like maybe you build this. Last year it was the 3 9K build with 3 7Ks. No 10s, no 8s, no 6s.
I feel like outside of the Sungjae Lowry or Sungjae whoever, like the 3 9K, 3 7K.
It's going to be one of the most popular builds. It's who do you do it with, first of all.
Justin Suh and JT Post.
For sure, but even in the 9K ranges, who do you do it? Not as many people are going to play certain guys as others. And then also, you said it, I actually don't think it will be popular. The M. Lowry builds, I almost like combining them if you're going there versus full fading them because while you don't need the guys, you probably end up. Let's try it. Let's look at a Sungjae.
Oh, it's super easy to do.
Lowry build. Yes, but here's my point. This is where you can get your 6K guy in the mix and skip that 7K range that everybody's on.
Okay, how much better do you think that Ben Griffin is to Eric Cole?
I don't know.
Honestly.
But if you go Cole, because we like him.
Yeah,
who's
so,
another 6K guy? You said Grant?
I mean, Grant's probably even too cheap. You can do this with... I mean, you like Tway, right?
Yeah, sure.
So let's throw in Tway. So Cole and Tway with Buckley and Bramlett still gives you Lowry and him.
Yeah, and that's where, again, now you've gone to the popular version of this build because you land in that same bucket. What's the difference between a $7,500 guy and another guy at 7K? Like who? Okay, or do it backwards. Let's go to Moronk.
Or we just turn...
No, plug Moronk in. You land on 6,800.
Or you just plug in Justin Suh instead of Hayden Buckley, and now it's the unpopular version of this build.
Right, but it's not. It's an unpopular ownership-wise.
Yes.
You're on the same construction. That's where I think people always mess this up. Not saying you did. I'm saying in general.
I have messed it up. That is what you're saying.
I'm saying it can still hit. There's no way of knowing what really messes it up. But I'm saying when people think, oh, but I got a different unique guy in my lineup, now I'm all set. I'm saying that if you, like last week, if you built, the people that got to Lee Hodges had Lee Hodges with like Tway. And then the guys at the top. They weren't messing around with all those guys in the middle. So they missed out on Keith Mitchell, let's say, who ended up getting to the top. But they still had three of the guys. They had some Rom, Cantlay, Homa type lineups that could still get there, maybe land on Mitchell, and they got lucky there. So all I'm saying is, if you switch this up to play Moronk, Pat.
I was going to say, you just drop
you have to
Buckley to Dylan Wu, and then go to Seb Straka.
Right. So again, to me, it's not saying that's a better lineup. I'm saying, but that construction, now you've got different with the double stud construction, where others aren't probably doing that. Others are still landing in the same zone and then wondering why they're still 5 or 6 because the $7,500 guy missed. We said there's going to be a bunch of guys in that range miss. We'll all have lineups like that, but I'm trying to look for different angles with the same type of lineups as others.
Okay.
So that you brought up a good one there. That was a great example at the end you brought up. So I think you could use that. What's the more common version of just starting with Sungjae Im? Let's look at that build.
I mean, I think it was the first one that I gave out.
Right. I guess, yeah, you did give that one. So Im, Vegas, Griffin, 3 guys in that 7.5 to 7.7.
Only because I can't identify from the lower 7s who the popular guy is going to be. Can you?
Because the lower 7s, I don't think there is many. I think you can just play wherever you want.
No, I agree with that. But like if we're talking about the popular build with Sungjae, instead of Vegas, who is going to be popular? I would guess that it's probably Sungjae, one of the 9Ks, the rest of that lineup, and instead of Vegas, you drop Vegas down to whoever the low 7 guy is. So
that is
Im Kirk or Im Kuchar kind of thing instead of Vegas. Stick with Griffin, stick with Buckley, stick with Bramlett, whoever it might be, Lee Hodges from that middle. But then there's a guy in the very lower 7s as well to round that out.
Yeah, I think one thing that's all good. I think the one thing to look at this week is sort of the bottom-up build, where you say, okay, who are the guys I want to play? Like if you like Brandon Wu, let's say you say, okay, the reason I'm saying bottom-up build is because then you can figure it out at the top what fits without landing on. Let's say if you want to avoid some of this 7.5 to 7.9K range, who are the 3 guys in the either high 6s or low 7s that you feel comfortable with? Like we said, Brandon Wu.
I mean, I like Dylan Wu.
Okay, so let's start with Dylan Wu.
Dylan Wu, Eric Cole. And Aaron Badley does seem to be the one picking up steam down there.
Yeah, but who do you like?
I like Eric Cole and Dylan Wu.
Okay, so I put them. And now that gives us 9,100 average. Now you go to Moronk, okay, instead of Vegas. Because like you said, he'll be popular, but still.
I like where this is going. Although you can most definitely use a Vegas line. You can use Vegas.
You can still use
Vegas if you have Cole and Wu.
And land on those guys. But this is a great point here, what we're looking at. And now I can go like, who are some of the guys I said? Poston, we said we kind of like.
We can go Horschel, Kuchar, Poston, I think. Or Minwoo. Fuck, we still have even more money.
Kirk. Like you can do a bunch here. You can do Sungjae Vegas.
I mean, you can even in this lineup, I think you can get to, yeah, you can. Like if you go Cole and Wu, you can go Horschel, Minwoo, Poston, Moronk, or you could turn Moronk into Vegas if you wanted to.
Yeah, and you can still turn Moronk into Vegas. So there's a different example because this is what we just talked about where you said the 3.9K would be popular. What about the 2.9, 2.8, 2.6, no 7s, no 10s? This is an interesting build, and it still projects pretty well.
I can see that. I mean, if it has Billy, who projects better? I mean, in terms of like overall projection, I would guess that Kuchar projects out better than Minwoo.
It's actually pretty close.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. What about like Wise and McCarthy? Like Wise is my least favorite of these guys.
He actually projects out well.
I'm sure he does.
What do you think? Like, who's the one that gets squeezed in here? So let's go look at this for.
I still think it's Min Woo, but not as much to the extent as we thought it was going to be. Like he'll end up at like 13% now.
Yeah, let's try and put ownership on these 5 guys. Min Woo down to Dietrich.
Okay.
Who's the highest owned? Kuchar?
Min Woo down to Dietrich?
Yeah.
People love playing Aaron Wise.
Yeah, it's true.
And when you look at odds versus DraftKings pricing, I bet you he's the best one. Because he's like 22 to 1.
Right. So you got to think he's what, 20%?
Yeah. Could be high. But you could see a consolidation around one of these guys as well.
Yeah, we're not going to be 100% accurate, but like, okay, if we think he's the highest, do you think Kuchar is
I
the next
think
highest?
Kuchar's second.
So what do we put him at, 18?
Yeah. And then it's probably Min Woo, actually, now that I think about it.
At 17?
Yeah, I'd say 15, but that's
Put 16
me.
and average it, okay. And then where does Denny and Dietrich lie?
I would say it's Denny next.
15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Dietrich, then Horschel.
And then
And you also have to remember Chris Kirk is going to be very highly owned.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
So what do you think he's going to be at, 18?
I think Kirk could push 20 by the time it's all said and done.
All right. So that solves a little bit there. That, for sure, Denny looks a little bit better. Wise looks good still.
How does Dietrich look?
Not very good.
Really? At 10% or something?
Well, I put him. What do you think he's going to come in at? I put him at like 13.
Yeah, between 10 and 15. But it could be the lower end. And I don't care about that. Like, do I like Dietrich better than I like Wise? Yeah, sure. I just don't like Wise.
So now let's do the opposite because we just did the bottom up build. I'll save that score. I've got it in there. Now let's say, okay, of those guys that we just talked about, we can do Kirk down to Dietrich.
Well, do you like Kirk or Horschel better? I think all of us would probably agree Kirk may be safer to make the cut than Horschel. Because Lord knows where Horschel's game is at. Because he's going.
I'll take the chance on Horschel.
I mean, I would rather play Horschel than Kirk as well. But if you're just talking about, if you had to make a same odds minus 125 to make the cut between them, I think we'd all bet Kirk.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
That's not what we're talking.
But that's what. Yeah, in this, let's go 9K with the guys we kind of like, and then see where it lands us. Like what we want to do.
So Kirk, Min Woo, and Dietrich.
Yeah.
Or Horschel, Min Woo, and Dietrich?
I go Horschel, Min Woo, and Dietrich, and the reason I do is just to say it, like the Dietrich thing now, this is where I always talk about, do I think Dietrich is a better play in this range? No. But when he's my third guy in and he's on 14 straight made cuts and maybe that comes through here and we get another one, what if he has those two strokes in his favor instead of 31st, he's 11th, and one of these other guys comes through, Horschel gets the W or something like that. It's all if-thens, but my point is that's when I like him more at that as a third guy in than starting with him and needing him to sort of, hope that he's the anchor that way, even though an 8K guy could win anyway and cancel all that out. So
also priced into this, like Chris Kirk being the third highest price player in this field, like in no world is he better than Billy Horschel, who's won WGCs and won the big
Memorial last year.
Won Memorial, the BMW PGA Championship.
Florida guy, Gator boy, on the Bermuda, all those factors.
There's no point of time where Kirk has ever really been better than Billy Horschel, but you're factoring in his quote-unquote safety. That's factored into his price as his course history.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I like him. That's why I'm good with this. Now, here's the point that I was going to get to. 7,300 remaining. What does everybody do? Picks their two guys at 7,500 that they like, or 76, and then whatever 6K guy they like. We need to go, okay, we both like Moronk, right?
Yeah, we do like Moronk.
We do like Moronk.
Or Higo.
We both like Cole. And that leaves us 6,700. But we have a guy there that we're comfortable with at 66, I think, right?
I mean, comfortable is pushing the boundaries a little bit.
It depends what you like. I'm very comfortable with Tyler Duncan, and it actually projects the same as the lineup we just had.
I prefer Dylan Wu, but you're probably right that Duncan's more likely a better play.
They're both fine. Again, whatever. They almost project the same.
You're splitting hairs.
You're splitting hairs, but I think that's my point of this build. Again, you've now got 3 guys up top that if you look, win equity is spread pretty evenly here. There's nobody besides the Sungjae factor, but if you're going to go off Sungjae, you get 3 guys in here that you think could win. At least the odds say they could win in the Horschels, the Min Woos, and the Dietrichs. Dietrich's a cut maker. If you don't think he can win, at least he's on 14 straight made cuts. Adrian Moronk, you yourself said you think he could easily be considered a top 5-10 player in this field. So now you plug him in, and then what's the difference you said between Cole and some of these guys? I don't know. He's been playing pretty damn good. Play him, and now you just got to pick your guy at 6,600 or 6,700. That is a good build that avoids worrying which of these 7K guys are going to be the bombs, because some of them are going to be bombs in that range.
The other move, potentially here is to take Dietrich down to Vegas. I don't know if this works out perfectly. Then you can get Woo up to 7,100. I guess there's no one really there that I like is the problem. So that's not really going to play itself out.
It may be the other way, though. Like, I'm still comfortable. Like, if I had Tyler Duncan down there, let's just go with him.
So let's take Cole out.
Take Cole out. You land on 7,400, and you get to choose your... Again, Willett's probably different. I actually like that one.
Or S.H. Kim.
You can get away with S.H. Kim here. You could do Davis Riley if you like him.
I much prefer Willett and S.H. over Davis Riley this week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about pure upside, almost like the Billy Horschel sense, I mean, I think we all... I mean, all was probably stretching it, but agree that there is substantial upside with Davis Riley. It's a lot like Cam Davis at the moment. Like, it seems like there's something wrong with him.
Yeah, and this is all subjective because golf tournaments, GPPs and DFS, like looking at it from this way. But just to say this, like when you're rounding that lineup out with the same way I just spread it out for you with Horschel, Lee, now you're saying Vegas could be fine. Vegas is the Dietrich version.
Or Svensson or
no,
whoever
he's fine.
it is.
Like he's basically another cut maker with maybe upside. You don't know which Vegas is going to show up, but he could get through the cut. Moronk, your top 5 to 10, Tyler Duncan, or Woo, whoever your favorite value play is. Now at 7,400, all I'm saying is like in a large field tournament, maybe I go with Davis Riley. Think about it this way, because I want the potential for the upside. Like, what if he smashes, he wins? I already bet Willett to win. I think he could win too, but I could see where someone say there's no chance in hell, but I could see him making the cut. So in your higher stakes, smaller field, no ownership on Willett, maybe you plug him in and just say, this gives me better cut equity. Like, so who do you think, if again, you gave the Kirk Horschel example, I think people are slamming Danny Willett to bet him to make the cut over Davis Riley, what they've seen lately.
100%.
So you're looking at from the made cut equity, the Danny Willett version. If you're looking at, I got to win this $20 with 150,000 people in it, maybe I'm going for Riley and hoping it's a coming out party that no one expected, that we did expect before. It's lost its luster. Now I'm going to try him this week on this event. That's how I think people should look at it.
Meant to point out earlier, as a part of the audio podcast, the XFL picks for the week will be after this portion on the audio. It has a standalone video on YouTube, but didn't want to overwhelm people's podcast feeds with like one 20-minute show and just cobble them all together. And
good news, I won't be here for that one, so you'll get good picks.
Maybe.
Yeah, I definitely don't have any for XFL, that's for sure.
Well, I ran the Sims.
Yeah, so. That's all I'm going to be doing too.
Yeah, that's all most people.
They ran back pretty good tournaments, all things considered. I know the XFL fiends aren't excited about it. They're okay with it. They wished, how come we just couldn't do the same thing again? But other sports are coming back. That's why. Other
sports are coming back, and they did have all these like crazy. They were basically giving away $15 tickets into the giant XFL one over the past 4 months just to ensure that it would get filled, like running like $1 satellites and stuff like that. So people had a bunch of tickets to use. If they fill the 50,000 one this week with a Thursday start, and I think where there's 4 games, but one of them starts on a Thursday, I think we might get another pretty big, sizable tournament that hasn't been released yet for the weekend. That's true. For the 3-game slate, or even just the Sunday slate. I don't know.
Make your money now while you can. That's the key.
So normally I play between like 40 and 50 lineups in the $5, and I try to use between like 17 and 20 players as a part of my prize pool. I think I might expand that range this week. Like maybe I don't need to play 60% of 5 players or something like that. That with what I know about this tournament and how random it can be, that maybe spreading out the wealth a little bit might be the move. And I mean that more towards like the top, and try to consolidate at the bottom a little bit. Like if I can be right about Eric Cole or be right about Dylan Wu or whoever it might be, then just, I mean, I don't know who the fuck's going to win.
That's what I do. That's what I talk about all the time. I think that's, again, it's to each their own. There's so many different ways.
And I think there's different ways that you can go about that too. Like I think this tournament in particular, that's the route that I want to take versus another tournament where it's like, oh yeah, play Rom, Cantlay, and Homa and figure out the rest from down low.
Yeah, it's just a really tough course, and it's tough to figure out, and it's not one, as the cliche saying goes, it's not one to get right at, so you got to think about that some too, but you also do have to be willing to take on some risk. Anything can happen any given week. Lee Hodges last week was off 5 missed cuts and then shows up and shows out. So, you know, you never know what is exactly going to happen. The thing is, though, Pat, like you said, it's likely that sort of that 7,500 and up is where the winner comes from, so you can just build your lineups around all of that and mix those guys up and not play 6K guys as a way to defend. But if those 6K guys start coming through, that's going to make for some interesting lineup constructions that you could see at the top again, and you just don't have any of those builds. So I want to spread it out and get a little more randomness as well.
Adam Long is someone that's just on my radar because of his skill set. Dude hits every fairway.
Was he 7,200?
He's 7,200. He had a decent week at Genesis, all with he actually drove the ball really well, and that's essentially all he did. I saw him chip in on one of the holes. But he's made 4 cuts in a row, no good finishes in the bunch of them. But he's still hitting every single fairway. And if you go back and look at his history, and sometimes this is what I like to do with course history, just to get a sense of what's going on. It's like, why has Vegas made so many cuts at this tournament versus other places? Well, Vegas is an extremely poor putter, but he's gained 3 out of the past 4 years here. He's gained, I think, 6 of the past 8 on the green, something like that. Like, for whatever reason, he's decent on these greens.
Solid in Florida all around, which goes with that. So he's
done
well with players. He's shown up and stuff like that too. Yeah.
So Long has driven the ball very poorly at this course historically, which is really atypical for him. Now, there could be different factors, the years that he played, whatever it might be. But he's currently driving the ball really well, and the irons really haven't been that good. But if you go look at him, he's never lost on approach here. He's missed 2 or 3 cuts, but when he came 27th, he gained 7.1 strokes that week on approach. Last year, he missed the cut, and in 2 rounds, he gained almost 3 strokes on approach. So if he can continue driving the ball this well, and there's, for whatever reason, he's very comfortable with his iron shots here, maybe you can cobble that together and get, I don't want to say a safe guy, but he is a PGA Tour winner. He's someone that we like during the swing season, and he's making the cut and then doing nothing on the weekend. Maybe this is the week where you can make a few putts or something.
Yeah, I don't mind it. And this is the range where you kind of want to pull those guys from, like you talked about. It just doesn't seem the ownership is going to him. There's another Adam right there, Adam Schenk. There is Ben Taylor, Sig.
I actually kind of like Ben Taylor, but
do you? Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine. He hasn't. I don't think he's seen the course before.
I used him last week.
Yeah,
he had a very poor Sunday.
I will say this: I don't love this guy, but just to bring it up, I noticed this because I was watching it heavily. Remember, the broadcast stopped and then had to come back. The round stopped and then had to come back and resume the next day. Another Dylon for Telly. No, this guy, man,
smelly for Telly.
He missed the cut on the number last week. He had 4 shots within 5 feet to end his round last week. Missed 2 of the putts. He needed 1 of them to go down. But I mean, it wasn't like that's the whole point. People don't follow this stuff or watch it enough to know how shit actually went down. They just say, oh, miscut, he sucks. Like, he played great. It just did not get through. He didn't play great enough to make the weekend. 1 putt from 4 feet away.
Missed the cut on the number, lost 4.5 strokes putting in 2 rounds.
Is that what you got?
That's.
Oh, you got the numbers. Yeah, perfect. I'm just saying, I know what I saw coming back, watching it on the tracker, and it was like, damn, this guy just needs to make a putt, and he could not do it. So maybe this week he makes more or does it better. Taryn blew people out of the water last week. What did he shoot, 10 over?
Is that what he finished at?
I think so.
It's funny because when you look at Hardy as well, because Hardy got a chance to come back on the course to make the cut the next morning, and I think he tripled the last hole.
It was bad.
But his +5 looks really bad, but you could all say outside of the 1 hole, because he was terrible day 1, rallied back, and then with the restart, he had to go pin seeking in order to make the cut and fucked it up. Then he just didn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, people don't value that or think about it. I'm not saying you should fully, but just to point it out, you just said it. Like, that's what it always happens. This is another course, by the way, that's going to happen to people down the stretch. Your dude has to go for it. There's water on the right, heavy. You can be sitting in the top of a tournament and then watch it all disappear because they have to go for it to try and win the tournament, to get into it. So love those types of finishes. Not always the most fun for DFS, but it makes it fun down the stretch.
Webb Simpson. No.
Correct.
But I
think I deleted him off my sheet, actually.
I see people being like, Webb Simpson.
Well, yeah, it's the year of the resurgence. Besides Rahm.
Yeah, but he already had his year of the him and Harris English have already had although Harris English seems a lot closer to whatever the fuck he's doing than what Webb Simpson does at the moment.
That is true, yeah. I guess that's where people are going with it, right? We've seen Rose get the W. We've seen Day bounce back.
Ricky's playing a lot better.
Kuchar's playing better. There's all these older guys who are sort of back in the mix. Or guys from before.
I forgot to speak on this with Feinberg on Monday's show because he's the one who threw it out to me. He actually told me if Rahm wins, look out for this. Is that if Rahm can win the Players, he's essentially matched Ricky Fowler's career in the last 3 months.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. It's always the same thing.
That's crazy to think about. Listen, Ricky came top, 10 in all the majors, top 5 in all the majors one year. Ricky's had a really good career. I don't want to shit on Ricky like that. But just to put it into some context, for as good as Fowler was for the course of 8 years or whatever, all that he accomplished in terms of winning in his career, Rahm might be able to accomplish at the exact same level over 3 months.
Yeah. Like I said, Ricky wore cool orange clothes. I loved him. Everyone loved him. He's a great dude. But I said this all along, too. That was the other thing. Like when JT and Spieth, going back to Full Swing in the first episode, when they first came on tour, everyone's like, oh, Ricky's with them. Like, Ricky wanted to hang out with them because they're actually good at fucking golf. they want to hang out with Ricky because he's the man. It was kind of that. Ricky was, an up-and-comer. People liked him. I liked him too, but like, man, it's just not the same talent level at all. It's not even close to comparable. So Rom is just doing insane things right now. It's not going to change. He got the nanny now. The kids are out of the way. He's all set to go. Like the kids are young, but he's got everything handled at home, and he's handling his business on the course.
I've been noticing this recently. Just a tip to anyone there who's trying to get. Although I talked to Alex and Byron last week about like getting in to doing PGA content, seems to be something that more and more people are doing now.
Yeah.
Highly encourage it. One thing not to do is the pro tip. If you're someone who's just starting, you don't need to tag me with all your picks. That makes me not like you.
Why?
It's just I find it annoying.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going like everyone that I've ended up, just with you, with Rick, whoever it is, if you're good, I'm gonna come across you. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see the first thing you've ever written because it's probably not very good.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that.
And now you're blowing up like my notifications with like content that's probably not up to snuff, and now I just think you're terrible.
Yeah, it's like sending you an audition tape of your first ever audition tape. If you guys, anyone watching this remembers mine, it did not work out so well, and I got a timeout for that. But that's the key though. Like I had done something up to that point that made you be like, all right, I should give this guy a chance, get him on the show.
You just organically came up. Like it's like when me and Wiley started first working together. When me and Ben started first working together, it's like, oh, they're doing some content. People are talking about it, or I'm searching around and I see it and I read it. It's like, okay, this is really good. Like, it's not like I'm not looking at other people's content.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that show was great. I love those guys that you had on last week. Alex, awesome. A story about him, he was at the DFS Open, which was here a couple years ago. They had that little playoff at the stretch, and me and Kenny all loaded up, sort of getting the cart. Kenny was still in a bender from the night before, getting the cart rolled down to watch him in the playoff. I think he ended up losing at the end, but it was great to watch. He's an incredible golfer, so that was awesome. Byron's the man. Talked to him plenty, but I do it with the tidbits, and Byron's been featured, of course. Like I look for the free stuff. I find people say, oh, now it's just like a popularity contest. You put the same guys. No, I curate the guys that are good and coming through and consistent and solid every week that people enjoy reading and say, I want that in this setup. I only do 10. It's not that I'm like hand picking. It's just those are the guys that continuously come through. Ron, I can't name them all. Ron, PJ Splits, John, PJ Tout. Like these guys put out excellent content every week. There's many more and all the ones that people know. But it's like you said, when you're tagging someone in your audition tape, I'm going to look at it. I'll check it out, but it's probably not going to be your best stuff. And that's kind of the grind. Everyone that got to somewhere or ends up doing content had to start somewhere.
Yeah, and listen, I understand the want to be able to do it. Like, hey, I'm doing this now. I want to make this a career because I'm doing it. And, like, these guys are bigger than me right now. Hey, can you, like, incorporate me into what you're doing? Like, maybe someday. But, like, it's unlikely if you've just first started doing this that...
Yeah, the key is you're doing it. Remember, there's so many people sitting at home that's saying they wish they could do this content that won't even go turn on a camera or write an article or put anything out into the mix. So highly recommend that. I think it's a great thing to do. To Pat's point, obviously, bringing the worst of your stuff, your first stuff, is probably not the best to put across your desk. When think of the music industry. Back in the day, of course, people go to their mixtape, go to them, try and get it on the desk. If it's shit, like and they listen to it, it's going to suck. Why? Like that, you just gave your worst stuff. Hopefully you put your best stuff out, and then you get it across the table. And like I said, if not, it may just come up organically.
Yeah. And like, man, I grinded for like 4 years before anyone read any of mine. I was writing every week. No one was reading it, thank God. But it was not great stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's the way it goes.
All right. So any final thoughts on this week?
I honestly don't think so. It is what it is. Not complaining about the field as much. I think you brought it up in the middle of the show. It was a great point to bring up. Is that just part of cost of doing business? We like these guys. There's stuff that you can find out from some. You don't have to watch everything. You can build your lineups on Thursday night after we do the showdown show for round 2. Get your lineups in and just go out with your family or go to work on Friday or go to the gym or do whatever and just see how your lineups are doing. There's nothing you could change after they're entered. You're not required to watch every single second of it. The ratings show that on weeks that are not designated events or feature Tiger Woods, of course, last week.
I just end up watching, like, if I have someone, like, in the mix towards the end, I always try to watch the end of every tournament. But, like, if I have someone on the mix on Saturday, I'm more likely to watch on Saturday. For sure. There are some Saturdays, like, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Like, there's a lot. There's, what, like, 30 hours of golf on every week?
Yeah.
Like,
I get some people want to tilt every shot, too. It's just what they want to do. And that's, again, it's your money. That's the whole point of golf and DFS golf in general, why it's such a good sweat. You get the late cut sweat on Thursday morning. Late withdrawal sweat. Is anybody get a WD after lock that I have to worry about and complain about? You get the Friday cut sweat. Hopefully you get the Sunday money sweat down the stretch. But there's a lot of good sweat equity in for your money. So do it however you want to do it. But I'm like you, Pat. I watch the end of the rounds for showdown, see where my guys are ending. If I'm getting anything, do I have anything in the mix? I watch Friday for the cut sweat. What's my 6 of 6 going to look like? And then on Sunday, always watching. But that's just my setup. That's my routine.
I like the Thursday, Friday, because, I'm free during the afternoons on Thursday and Friday. They just flip on some PGA Tour Live, just have it on in the background.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, walk on the treadmill, watch some of it.
Yeah, getting that cardio in.
Toe Tag and Tambo on Twitter. Your tidbits are out. You can also find those in the Mayo Media newsletter, which you can sub to down in the description. RunPureSports.com and the Showdown shows on Mayo Media Network through RPS as well.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, I'll get the tidbits today, giving away $100 for, who I'll give it away randomly, but retweet and follow. We got a little follower contest going on right now, so try to keep building it up.
I like
over at RPS, trying to beat some of the big dogs. But yeah, if you hit that one up, put $100 on the table for that one, and then the shows will be back Thursday night, somewhere after the round ends. Again, we're back on Florida now, so should be a little bit earlier, right? We'll get the shows out.
Should be earlier, and you don't have time to sleep in and then make lineups the next day.
Yeah, the main thing is we just want to get the shows out for you guys to have as much information as you can take away as possible. We've had really good success, especially in round 2.
Sure.
The Thursday shows seemingly always...
Well, because every Friday ends up being delayed now.
Yeah, I do know that. We still got it in last week, even though, because there was only like 6 or 7 guys who just talked a little bit of if-then scenarios, but I love doing those shows. Have helped me a ton for my own lineups, and love seeing people have success. Been some good winners already this season from watching the shows.
Once again, at Toe Tag and Tambo on Twitter, at the PME on Twitter for myself, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get 20% off, runthesims.com, code Mayo for 10% off, all that XFL action. We're doing weeklies and monthlies over there right now, but it's a quick, give me some lineups and let's go. You can adjust it any way you want, but Lord knows if you know anything about the XFL. I don't. I trust the numbers and run with those. And the Listeners League is almost full, so I recommend you hit the description and go get your spot right now, okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!